Oh, that's place number one. All right, ready?
This is Alan Brody, supporter of Everton Football Club. Happy to be mid-table, but even happier to be above shit clubs like Man United and Spurs. You're listening to the DU Football Show.
I mean, he's not wrong. When you say, are there things to play for Everton? Fuck yeah, there are a chance to be above Spurs and United. Lower table clubs. Just how it is.
Oh yeah.
That way. Let's start the show.
Born in the land of Bowie, Maryland. Bred to be a fan of fucking Everton. Punch with the eye and drink your rye. Sam Houston. Sam Houston? Arsenal fans have another Sam. AKA the fucking Gooner Graham. Son of a lord. Let's trade in shorts. Sam Graham. Sam Graham.
Hello and welcome to the DU Football Show, a completely biased recap of the English Premier League as told by two common American schmucks. I'm your host, Sam Houston, and across the internet, because somebody got COVID from their mama, my co-host, Mr. Samuel Graham. How we doing over there, good sir?
Doing okay. I got a little bit of the nasally thing going on a bit.
Yeah, a little bit of that,
Yeah, it's not great.
Off to a flying start with the new au pair. It's like, hello, welcome to the United States, and oh, by the way, we all have fucking COVID.
Yeah.
Welcome to your first day.
Exactly. Found out 18 hours after she arrived, if that.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah.
Come on in.
And Carly couldn't stop singing Living in America like for the whole week building up to her showing up.
now I'm ready.
And then, listen, right after the test came back positive, she just looked at the floor of the bathroom and went, living in America.
That reminds me of good old Eddie Murphy doing talking about James Brown. He's like, that is a James Brown lyric right there. It's not even a word.
Yeah.
He does and had that whole song. James Brown, it is like greatest mumbling, making no fucking sense at all, and still being fucking brilliant. And of course, on the ones and twos, we have the lovely producer Mel. How we doing over there, producer Mel?
Doing pretty good. Taylor Thompson wants to remind you that he pays $5 a ticket to listen to all three of us.
Aw, isn't that nice?
What was that?
We're recording at the DU Public House just outside the nation's capital. You can check us out wherever you get your podcasts. And of course, streaming live every single Monday night. Should you want to chat with us, there is many ways that you can. Mr. Graham, tell the good people how they can get in touch.
They can go to patreon.com and up their subscription to $7.50 a month, and then they can have an opinion about what we do.
Not to be confused with .com.
Whatever. I got the vid, man. You can't make fun of me right now. I'm a protected class.
Well, I'm elderly, so I'm a protected class, and you make fun of me every fucking week.
It's what is it now? It's at DU Football Show on all the social medias at dufootballshow@gmail.com to get in touch via email, of course.
Fantastic. And of course, everybody, please remember, take a second, review. It's been a little while for people. We want to make sure we stay kind of relevant and people are checking us out. And don't forget to go by FeedSpot, show them a little bit of love. FeedSpot, this is your last plug I'm giving you. And other than that, just show a little. Sam, what was the hashtag you wanted people to do for reviewing the show?
I don't remember what it was now. Let me see if anybody did it.
This is riveting radio. It really
I know, right? This is awesome.
Doesn't matter. Sam and myself both work in the wine and spirit industry and both have a deep passionate love for all things distilled spirits. So is the red-blooded Americans we are. We've got to have a drink in our hand throughout this show and every single show. Mr. Graham, we are to number 3 on the Whisky Advocate Top 20 Whiskeys of 2024. And newsflash, everybody, it's whiskey without the E. And it's even from one very specific place for these last 3 whiskeys. What are we drinking today, Mr. Graham?
Absolutely. So this, as you said, is number 3. This is the Lagavulin 12-year-old, The Ink of Legends, Diageo Special Releases 2023. This one clocks in at 112.8 proof. Should run you about $170. Panel rating is a 94, and it is a Scottish single malt, specifically from Islay, of course. One of our favorite areas. Little late in the calendar for drinking 3 straight Islas.
It is. It's a good thing it was cold and rainy this past week, so we still feel okay with doing it, right?
Yeah, but today even was 73 or 75 it got up to or something. That was
Jesus, it was gorgeous today.
Anyway, your blurb comes from Julia Higgins, and as I stated before, the panel rates at a 94. Her blurb starts off as such. Lagavulin 12-year-old is no stranger to Diageo's annual special release series, appearing every year since 2002. The 2023 expression takes a traditional special release attribute to Lagavulin, cask strength bottling, and adds a touch of secondary maturation in Don Julio and Añejo tequila casks. Interesting. In true Lagavulin fashion, it's a peaty dram that offers much more than smoke. The nose is bright and briny, bursting with lime zest, seaweed, a hint of soapiness, and cooked agave. On the palate, plum and punchy citrus meld with baked apple, vanilla, sweetness, and minerality, making for a balanced whiskey that sails away on the lengthy, spicy finish.
And it is fucking lovely. That the ex-bourbon that is used to age the agave gives a little bit of that vanilla creamy roundness to it, but you definitely get the salinity that comes through with an agave and that vegetal that pairs very well with the seaweediness
with the brininess,
of what a Islay is. It is, and also I've had it neat and on ice. It opens up a ton on ice. It really opens up a ton on ice. This is one.
I only did it neat, and because I'm downstairs, I had to go get just do the old filler up with ice a lot.
Right.
And then I'll just drink the water down.
You know, if you don't have the big cube, that's the trick, everybody. If you put just 1 cube into your whiskey, it's going to immediately melt, and it's actually going to dilute it more than a glass full of ice because the compactness of the ice will keep it cold. Now it's going to melt faster because it's a bunch of ice cubes as opposed to one big one, but not as quickly as just being like, oh yeah, I don't want to water it down, I'm going to put 1 cube in. You are watering it down more than you could possibly imagine by putting just that 1 cube in. And in fact, it's right the hell away.
Exactly. Yeah, I think it's delicious, man. It's very good. You do get that nice little bit of sweetness up front as well from the agave. Just right away, it's sweet and it's salty right up front. It hits you hard, hits you fast. The smoke is almost it almost reminds me, with that sweetness and the smokiness, it almost reminds me of a mezcal.
I was about to say the same thing. It has that kind of pit barbecue kind of smoke thing going on that mezcal very frequently has.
It absolutely does. It's freaking delicious. And then you add in the lime, the citrus really stands out as well over the mid palate. This is awesome.
So this is,
and that sweetness helps cut down on the Band-Aid and iodine that we normally talk about.
There is not any Band-Aid to this at all, and it's not that I don't mind that Band-Aid iodine kind of thing. It's what I expect from an Islay, but with this, it really tones it down, and the 12 tends to have more of it than even the 16 does. Just the regular release of the 12, really fun. This is a great little whiskey. Now, something I was going to bring up, they mentioned Don Julio cask. The reason why they can do that is they can legally say that. This brand is by Diageo, who also owns, what else?
Don Julio.
Don Julio, just like with Moet Hennessy when they were talking about the like Quinto Noval port finish. Well, they own, Moet Hennessy owns both Glenmorangie and Noval port, so they're able to say that legally. Where a lot of times you source barrels from places and you buy it, but they don't mind you being like, oh yeah, they're like XO casks, XO cognac casks. But they don't want you to say who this specific house is because What if the whiskey ain't that fucking good?
Right.
That puts a downer on the other on that cognac brand or rum brand or whatever it is that you're using.
Right. The other thing is once you name a brand, if you say this is specifically what I'm using, you are then bound to use that.
Mm-hmm. That's why Bardstown gets away with it, because it's all one-offs, right?
Right.
They only do it one time. It's the Plantaray once. It's the Foursquare once. This year it was the Amarut once. It is when they do that collaborative series, it's because they're using that barrel very specifically one time. Also, we're saying, producer Mel, if you don't mind chiming in real quick, this is one of those whiskeys that whenever we're doing all of the whiskey list, I know Mel's not going to be a fan of all of them. This is one this morning I pulled out, I showed to her, and I went, "You're really going to like this one."
I like the peaty ones. I like the ones where I can taste the mud. I like the earth. I like all of it.
And then to couple it with the fact that it's also tequila finished, which is your personal favorite spirit. You are a tequila girl. And I was like, hey, Mel, you're going to be excited about this one. So what do you think now that you've had it?
The sweet and salty is definitely the description for it. And it is a big difference between over the ice and not. You lose a little bit of the peatiness over the ice, but the sweetness comes out and you get more of the agave flavors, I think.
Yeah. If you're going to be looking for this out in the marketplace, you may not find it because they are already on to the 2024 edition. That's what's currently in the liquor stores. This was the 2023 edition. Big shout out to our Patreon supporter, Christian Tremblay, for pulling this off. He found this in Minnesota and got it sent out to us. As we always like to say, never doubt our ability to find something we want. But
some people just reach out because they found it first and knew we were looking.
Yep, that's how it works. And sometimes we talk about, hey, these are ones that are being difficult to find. And the minute we send up that flag, our community is really great. Not just the community of listeners for Patreon, but our whiskey brethren. I mean, I had a poor manager one time call me at 8:30 in the morning on a Sunday and went, "I have the Missouri Oak from Redbreast. I've got 2 bottles. I'm holding one for you right now." I'll be like, "I am there in 30 minutes, dude."
Yep.
But
exactly.
That's the kind of relationships we have, and that's what we work on. And it's very cool. It's very cool, and it's very humbling that everybody helps us out.
Yeah, we can't thank you guys enough.
So, Mr. Graham, what else do we also need to always do?
Always remember to drink responsibly.
Very good. Cheers, Mrs. Houston, since we are.
There we go.
And
Sure, Billy says.
Cheers, everybody.
What if I want to just open up the whiskey up a touch with the melted chips?
Melted. Oh, the little ice chips?
Yeah.
That's going to melt right away. It's going to be the same result as doing this individual cube. Just know that the lighter amount of the less ice you use or the less condensed ice you use, the more it's going to melt. Yep. That's why you always see the big spheres or the big
in my little sample glass that turned to water in just the first 5 minutes of the show.
Yeah, very quickly. That's just what it does. Whereas, you'll notice with mine, the big cube's still very quite intact.
I still have most of my ice working.
Alrighty. Format change tonight, and producer Mel, I'm throwing this one on you on the fly too. You only got one ice break to do because we're only doing 2 segments. Because frankly, one story involves 5 games, and it's really the story we're going to be talking about for the rest of the season. We open with 5 matches as the Champions League has officially added 5 Premier League spots, and there are 5 clubs battling for 3 spots. Manchester, yes, Mr. Graham.
Sorry, this is where I'm supposed to chime in and say you're welcome.
Yeah, for advancing.
You're welcome.
I would say producer Mel should also say you're welcome too, because her team advanced to the quarterfinals as well.
But it was confirmed when we beat Real Madrid that this was happening.
Okay. Well,
so we got it over the line. So you're welcome.
So even in intros, Mr. Graham needs to make it all about Arsenal and a pro-Arsenal agenda. Manchester City 5, Palace 2, Everton 1, Forest 0, Villa 3, Southampton 0, Chelsea 2, Ipswich 2, Newcastle 3, Manchester United 1. It was a great first 30 minutes for Palace, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. Yes, it was.
They were on. It was absolutely delightful. And then they got called off sides, and then it all went to shit.
Well, that's it. They played the perfect game for 32 minutes because once De Bruyne halved that early lead that Eze and Richards gave Palace, City went well on the front foot. I mean, they just dominated the rest of that game. Goals on the 33rd, 36th, 47th, 56th, and 79th.
Yep.
So you're looking at a 46 minutes, so just over half, just bang, 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 every 10 minutes.
Yep.
Just bang, 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 bang.
Yep. Yeah, it was. And do you wonder, obviously just a hypothetical, if that third goal goes in for Crystal Palace, we might be telling a completely different story.
Oh, yeah, big time. Because that's a huge moment. You talk about the one that crashed off the crossbar, or
no,
the one the offsides?
As the offsides.
The offsides.
That was that used the new technology, yet still there was
still a question.
Because were they interfering or not? And VAR is always going to figure out a way to shoehorn their way into everything.
Yeah, that's why I like it so much.
You love it.
Absolutely could have, because you think of 3-0 down, even at home, that's a tough hill to climb, especially to a team over the last 5 seasons has either drawn or beaten you in your building 3 of the 5 times they've played there.
And frankly, Palace not playing bad ball right now. They're playing really good ball.
Palace at City has been a bit of a bogey game for City, even when they were at their full flow. So the fact that they started this game off a bit slow and allowed Palace to take the lead, you thought, oh shit, here we go. But then that chance, obviously the offsides, the kind of confusing nature about that in general, the bit of a lengthy stoppage for an offsides as well. I think you turn around and you go, it kind of reset the atmosphere, reset the momentum. Right. And City were able at that point to kind of get a stranglehold in the game, get a foothold first, and then a stranglehold after that. Where Palace kind of blitzed them, blitzed them up front. I mean, Eze's goal was the 3rd minute or something, 6th minute, something like that. It was very early,
right off the jump.
So the automated thing, why we're implementing it in the middle of the season, I don't know. It doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But at least they did it for every game. Right. At least everyone's playing under the same rules.
This weekend went with that new rule. Now, question for you. Do you think that Palace missing Marquez really hampered their defense? Is that that they didn't have their captain out there, a guy that would have, after that first goal gonna probably have gone, all right, lads, settle the fuck down. We got this.
Right, or that first goal doesn't even happen because somebody goes and confronts De Bruyne. Right. Because they have the safety net of Marquez behind them. Or maybe it's him himself goes out and confronts De Bruyne in that position. He's, I think, one of the highest blocking counts in the league this season, Marquez. Mm-hmm. He gets in the way of everything.
You know who number 1 is, right?
I don't.
JB's favorite player, James Tarkowski.
Oh, Tark?
Yep. No, Tark is number 1.
Talk about blocking the ball, not someone from having children. Or walking again. Or any of those things you need limbs for.
So 5 different goal scorers for Manchester City in this match, and obviously missing Haaland. Do you think City has found their second gear to try to push for Champions League for the end of the season?
So this happens a lot with City, and we talk about how their ability to turn it on when they need to turn it on. I think 4th, because it wasn't just in there until a game we'll talk about in a little bit. Wasn't just in their control, right? They needed other results, but the failure of that club to put any pressure on City to do anything, I think now means that City will wrap up 4th with no problem, especially with the safety net of having 5th available to them.
Right. Well, that leads us into the next match where 3rd place could even be a possibility for them now too, because they're only 3 points out of that. As did Everton just Forest?
Oh, yeah. Big time.
But also to be said, there wasn't much opportunity or impetus at all from Forest this entire match. It was Everton were the better team. at the City Ground, which seemed very odd.
So, but Forest, the only way they know how to play and get results this season, really, it wasn't like Bournemouth who was mixing it up. They were blitzing some teams. They were counterattacking other teams. Like the first 6 months of the season, Bournemouth was excellent, and they were mixing up their styles. Forest has been concede possession, devastating counters. That's been their entire game plan all season. The reason this game was not my favorite game to watch this weekend, which it definitely could have been, the way both teams have played, was Everton kind of followed the Forest formula when David Moyes took back over.
Yeah, so, very much so.
But Forest are at home, so they gave you the ball. I mean, you couldn't give it back, right? It couldn't just be standing there playing ping pong over the center line. That wasn't going to work. So Everton decided, okay, we'll give it a go. We'll try, but it didn't seem like y'all really knew what to do with it in your half court offense. It was some of it was slow, some of it was a bit predictable. There was a few sloppy passes in the final third, especially. Ultimately, yes, you created more of the chances, but you had 70% of the ball or whatever it was. So that's to be expected. You're going to take a pot from somewhere, a few ill-advised shots, even at that. Where some more patience would have been called for. But that being said, if they're going to do that, if that's going to be the game plan, then you have to make them work on the counter. And Forest didn't do that either. So they just ended up
every time they tried to counter, Everton had the answer.
Exactly. They set you up to do exactly what they wanted to do. They just didn't do it.
Yeah.
Didn't finish that half of the game plan.
And Wood is finally back, but I mean, he really offered nothing in the match. Tarkowski and Branthwaite pretty much wrapped him up. And it was also very clear. I think very early on, you saw what the tempo of the game was going to be when Branthwaite just clocked Jota Silva. I just hammered him. And a good call for a foul, but VAR looked at it as a red, not a red card.
Right.
He just clocked him. That was all. It was shoulder to shoulder. And, Jota didn't see that coming. He certainly didn't see it coming, but there was nothing malicious in it. It was a dirty, hard foul. Hell yeah. But it wasn't a red card. And the rest of the game was real chippy like that. It was a very physical back and forth, a lot of each other on the ground kind of match. And you're going to do that. Everton loves that shit. Like that. Right. They love to play that game.
I mean, it's been their bread and butter over the last how many seasons, right? And now they have the person that made them that way in the first place, for the most part.
Yeah.
Back at the helm. So he's just refining his already laid in system and identity that he instilled in that club a long time ago. Pickford was equal to every kind of half chance that Forest created because that's all they were on the counter.
Yeah, he didn't really have to make any big saves.
No, any good saves at that even. I mean, they were all fairly comfortable routine saves. And we'll see from another game this weekend that that's not always the case, sometimes.
Yeah, exactly.
Spurs. So if you or a starting keeper just simply doesn't do very well. But here comes Decore in stoppage time.
Neal, who just got back healthy.
Who just got back. Yep,
you're absolutely right about that. The counter and puts off a beautiful pass across the defense. Right onto Decore.
And he snatched victories from the jaws of draws,
Yeah, I'll tell you what, and I think we've spoken enough about this match other than I have one other question about Forest specifically. But for Everton, you started the month going, fuck, we have to play the 5 best teams at the top of the table at the start of April. They're not all there now, but so far you have a loss, 1-0 at the Merseyside derby, a draw against the second place team, and you beat the third place team in their building. You're Everton. You are pleased as shit with so far for April.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And
you're thinking of extending Moyes past next season already.
It wouldn't surprise me if they were already doing that. But right now, no, he is already. He's on a 3-year deal, so he's here.
Oh, is he?
Supposed to be for at least another 2. The final question I have is: they've hung around all year. They've played well above what their expectations of them were. They've been around for a while now. is it all finally catching up to Forest, or was this just a one-off blip?
So the only evidence we have is it's a one-off blip, because what happened last time when was it trounced by Bournemouth 7-0, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Or did they do the trouncing? I don't remember.
They did the trouncing on. It was.
Did Bournemouth beat them 7-0? I don't remember. Around that time,
they beat Brighton 7-0. Forest did, but they got beat.
They lost to Bournemouth 5-0 or something.
Yeah, 4-0 or 5-1.
Yeah, something like that. That's what it was.
By Bournemouth, yeah.
That's the only blip they've really had this season, and they came back from that already. So the only evidence we have until they fuck up again is that this is a one-off, just like it was 3 months ago or 5 months ago, whatever it was that happened, right? It's not like they had a blip a month, which you could just call that being inconsistent. They actually had one blip earlier in the season and then have now had this blip.
Mm-hmm.
Because they responded to last game very, very well and stayed exactly where they were in the table.
Yeah. Yeah. Now,
so you can't say that until they fuck up a second time in a row or a third time in a row. I think you can only call this a blip.
Very good. Now, moving on to the next game, Aston Villa decides to hand in their Southampton voucher. But all I can think of while writing the notes to this is the quote from Friday. How do you get your ass fired on your day off? How the hell does Ass Man miss 2 fucking penalties going the same fucking way? How? Clearly, we now know who will not be taking penalties for Aston Villa if Champions League goes to a shootout. It will be him.
For real, can't be Asensio. That's absurd. I don't know what he was thinking. I think he was obviously thinking that the goalkeeper is going to think he's going a different direction, and he just put it in the same spot and got it fucking handedly saved again.
You had Rashford on early. He takes penalties. You had Watkins on later. He takes penalties. And not for nothing, Yuri Tillemans used to take penalties for Leicester all the fucking time.
Yeah.
So you have 3 guys that are automatic penalty takers for clubs they've played for.
I also think it's a little fucked. Rashford didn't. He hasn't obviously scored many goals since he's gotten there. He scored a few,
yeah,
but hasn't scored many. A lot of people thought that he was going to walk into the team and score 15 before the end of the season, the way some people were talking.
Right.
He's obviously been sharing minutes with Jacob Ramsey, been sharing minutes with Ollie Watkins, depending on who's fit, who's not, and where they need him to be. And he's filled in very well. Again, I'm not criticizing him. I'm criticizing the team for he needs a fucking goal. Let him continue to grow in confidence. Why wouldn't you give him that thing? I think Asensio scored 2 more than Rashford has since they've both come on loan. Give Rashford the ball, get him some confidence. He plays further up the pitch than Asensio anyway. And Asensio has, his primary role is to be a distributor, is to be a number 10. His primary role is not to be a forward. His goals aren't the whole story of his game.
Right.
Rashford's with the reputation he comes with, obviously, for Manchester United, and the evidence that we've seen over the course of his career, maybe not so much in the last year, 18 months, but over the course of his career, is that he needs to fucking play. He needs goals and he needs to play. So sharing minutes and then having your number 10 take a penalty over him, I think it only hurts your chances on Wednesday.
And what's funny is all of that didn't matter. Why? Because Southampton are dominant.
Because Southampton. Yeah.
It didn't even matter. It took them a little while to score, but it was never in doubt. It was never in doubt.
No, of course it wasn't in doubt. Because they didn't give Rashford that penalty, I missed a bet. But one of my bets was over 2.5, both teams to score no. So I knew Villa was going to be 3-0 minimum. Right. One of the legs in that parlay was that. And the only thing I missed on was Rashford to score at any time. Right. And I do believe they should have given him that penalty because the man needs a consistent scoring record to feel the confidence.
Right.
And I think that's the only chance they have on Wednesday, to be fair. 3-1, and PSG are playing some of the best football of their lives.
Yeah, they really are.
It's, you need everybody fit, firing, and on form. And them not getting him a confidence booster before they go into this game, I think it's trouble.
And the other thing worth mentioning, too, for Villa, you've been talking about them finally kind of finding their form. They've played the slow game throughout the entire year. They're really ready to kind of push for that one of those final Champions League spots. And this was the first time they've won off a Champions League midweek. And you could just now, granted, it being Southampton helps, but they've drew or lost to bad teams also during that run during the Champions League. So feels like Villa's ready for the fight, man. They're ready to fucking go.
It does, but they also are encouraged. I mean, the obviously we're not a Champions League show. We talk about it because it's relevant, but we're not here to study the Champions League through and through. I think Villa has to know if they draw that game against PSG last week. I think Southampton have they'll still lose, but I thought they would have had an exponentially better chance against Villa at the weekend.
Right.
Where being 3-1 down, even a goal down, you might have got a different Villa come out.
Right.
Much more hesitant, much more trepidatious, saving and conserving energy. Now, again, I think Southampton still would have lost 1-0.
Right.
Because Southampton are that bad. But I think Villa would have been a bit more cautious, a bit more restful, a bit more mindful had they really believed they still had time in this tie. Newcastle's obviously on a very rich run of form. You have Forest, obviously you had this blip here against Everton. You had, the top two were far and away. City is now playing, a little bit more consistently. They picked up a couple of results, in a row. And then you're encouraged by Chelsea fucking it off. So with Villa being in this conversation for the Champions League to qualify 2 years in a row, it's a massive amount of money and all that kind of stuff. I think they put a little bit more effort into this game than they needed to be, especially because those point totals are starting to close in. They need that +3.
Not the result you wanted if you were fucking Chelsea. You go down 2-0 and then you draw. And of all these teams, they're the one I feel the least confident about for Champions League because
they're just not playing well, man. They went 2-0 down in this game.
Yeah.
To
a team that sure is still fighting for survival, but they kind of already know their destiny. How do you go down 2-0, man?
It's terrible.
That's the key.
I don't know.
A relegated team don't go down to them.
They fucking dominated.
Yeah.
Possession, but barely created anything those opening 20 minutes. And then they just got counterattacked to fuck.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
Ipswich didn't have a sniff in the game, really. And Chelsea just switched off. They pushed too many men forward and just switched off. It was absurd. I couldn't believe it. But that being said, there was a couple of very high football IQ moments. Mm-hmm. One was the run from Cucurella, charging directly at the ball and then continuing that run past the far post. That gave the defender something to think about. Right. And that's what causes that own goal, that first goal.
Oh, absolutely.
But then the very quick short corner. What a heads-up play that was. For Sancho to turn, get in the box, gather himself, and find that top corner before the defense could even react, I thought was absolutely excellent. And for how stupid and easily they got lulled into giving up the 2 goals, clawing them back and securing that equalizer, I thought were 2 very smart things to do. And we said it early in the season that they were going to be inconsistent. They have a young coach. They have a young team. A lot of which he had to spend the first few months trimming the fat of and doing all that kind of stuff.
Right, of course, yeah.
So, there's going to be these inconsistencies. This is just what they're going to be until they mature a bit, all of them, including the manager.
Right. Now, like I said, not the result that they needed, especially considering you have both Villa and Newcastle are charging onto them.
Mm-hmm.
Which leads us right into the final match. You really, the lead up is the bigger story than the game. I think we all expected Newcastle to win this game and to win it relatively easily, but Eddie Howe is currently in the hospital. And then on the Manchester United side of things, Onana, not even on the bench, completely removed from the game day roster.
I heard he missed. He couldn't catch the bus. Thanks. Newcastle just rolled them. To be honest,
Yeah.
I mean Newcastle just absolutely rolled them. There was no doubt in my mind about this game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was 1-1 at the half, but it was like, okay, well, Newcastle made one mistake. Like Pope made a mistake and gave up the goal, but the minute the second half started and Barnes with the brace, you were just like, yeah, that's it. Like, yes, they're going to beat them. We knew they were going to beat them.
Well, exactly, and the intent was clear from the off. If they switched the goalkeeper, let's see what happens. Oh, 1-0 down.
Mm-hmm.
Luckily for them, what's his name was called offside. So it's just like you change a goalkeeper, and within 30 seconds, the ball's in the back of your net.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a good look. Whether it gets ruled out or not, it's not a good look. It means everyone in front of the goalkeeper wasn't switched on for anything. And then the goalkeeper is also terrible. Yeah. It's what's the difference between this guy and Onana then? And then you go, oh, well, he's not directly responsible for those goals, really, and actually made a couple of decent saves until he chips the ball on this. Who was it? Forehead? Was it Harvey Barnes' forehead?
Yeah.
Like one of the shortest players on the pitch, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
He, 11 yards away from him and hits him in the forehead. Have you ever cleared a ball before in your life?
Mm-hmm.
He took a short goal kick, received the ball back, and just hit him in the head. And it came right back at him. And Harvey Barnes split two defenders like they weren't even standing there. And then had the composure to deal with a bobbling ball and place it in the top corner with no issues. It just doesn't make any fucking sense. I don't know what the disease is there, but there's some sort of fucking freshwater amoeba. There's some sort of fungi. There's some sort of E. coli, anthrax. There's something going around United that is making these people not act like themselves. Because some of these footballers we know, and they're better than that. Half of them look like they were going to burst into fucking tears at the weekend.
What do you got first, producer Mel?
Sure, Billy. It's now between shitty number 1, shitty number 2, or let's see what's behind door number 3.
Tom Heaton, who used to be a phenomenal goalkeeper, who is there for the fucking paycheck and the retirement. He is there for the pension fund. You put him out there. He man will know how to make a save or two, but how much will his body allow?
Well, I think he's like Scott Carson. I think he's there on relatively minimal money comparatively to the others, still making a good living. But he's English. He's a homegrown player.
Yep.
So he pads the roster for the quota that they need.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's exactly what it is. And
the not give a shits.
I mean, and taking nothing.
Yeah, basically.
He's a former England national keeper. I mean, he's
exactly. But as you said, he's old. Like, there's no other reason to keep him on the thing unless you need somebody serviceable for 15 minutes. That's protecting a roster spot, which is what he's doing. Because I don't think he could do 90 minto either.
And you know what? United managed to do in this match. They managed to be ahead of Everton in the table, right? But then give up 2 more goals and go below Everton in the table without Everton actually doing anything to make that flip happen.
Nice.
We're level on points, and United had a better goal differential even off that Everton win. And then they managed to later that day go, nah, let's be behind Everton in the table.
It's just stupid. It's just stupid. It's so bad. Garnacho scored, which is one bright spot for them. Mm-hmm. I like his celebration. Thinking he ran over to the side and did one of these, and I was like, "You thinking about the last time he scored because it was that fucking long ago?" His first goal in 28 matches for Manchester United, and that is just completely unacceptable. But that obviously, as you said, took it to 1-1 at halftime. But then must have been another very inspiring halftime team talk for Ruben Amorim, because just 4 minutes into the second half, great play again, marching right down the field, and the initial pass from Isak to find. Oh no, excuse me, that was for Tonali's goal. It was someone else. Great pass for a very, very simple Harvey Barnes finish, and then 15 minutes later. You've got the Masraoui Gerrard moment.
Yes.
Where he takes a tumble. Barnes got his second. And then that's the one I mixed up. It was he hit Barnes in the head and Guimaraes finished it. It was I think I misspoke, said Barnes finished it. But hit Barnes in the head and Guimaraes finished off the scoring with that ridiculous goalkeeping error I talked about earlier.
That's right. My apologies. That's the wrong score. I said Graham. 3-1. It was 4-1. My apologies.
Yeah, all good.
If you say hit Barnes in the head one more time, you get a free gift certificate.
Hit Barnes in the head.
Now, Mr. Graham, let's get to kind of the final thought. And like I said, frankly, this is going to be pretty much the lead discussion of this show moving forward for the remainder of the season, because it's really the storyline, right? The relegation zone is pretty much decided. The top of the table is almost decided. So this is really kind of the talking point. 3 spots, 3, 4, and 5 are now being run after by 5 teams. Who do you think those teams are going to be?
So Newcastle have the most momentum for me. I think they're obviously the ones, obviously not on points, but I think they're the ones momentum-wise in the driver's seat. I think City need to watch their backs.
Right.
Because, like I said, they've turned around a couple of results in a row. But I think like this in particular, I can't remember who does City have in the FA Cup semis? Is it Villa?
Forest.
Oh, they have Forest.
And also not for nothing. Next week it's a trip to Goodison. This weekend it's a trip to Goodison for him. And Everton is playing really good ball and will be frustrating as hell. And they have their full complement of defensemen, which will make a difference, unlike Palace.
Exactly. But what I was saying with Palace, exactly that. I think this 5-2, so I don't really know if City is back, because you asked if they click. I'm not sure necessarily they have. They look a little bit more coherent. They look a little less sloppy, like the new guys are starting to bed in.
But the leaking of goals is not a good thing.
Right, but Palace had one of the biggest games in their recent history in 7 days' time.
Yeah.
And I think that Mateta came off at halftime, didn't he?
I believe so, yeah.
You were only 2-1 down. I'm sorry, no, it was 2-2. It was still tied.
Yep.
Why would you take him off? Unless you're thinking about that semifinal. You want to end up in the final, potentially against this team.
Right.
So you also don't want to give too much away. You play each other enough as it is.
Right.
So I think that may have informed the emphatic nature in which City, in addition to the Gahey suspension.
Let's keep it free, Graham. Don't go too flowery.
I'm not. All I'm saying is I'm not necessarily convinced by City. That's why I'm still saying Newcastle had the impetus.
Mm-hmm.
I think Villa are, again, focusing a bit more now with the setback, especially that last goal against PSG last week. I think they went, fuck, we got to come out here and do something. So, they're going to start focusing a bit more in the league potentially. Forest, not a great result. They responded to the last blip, as I said. Let's see how they respond to this one. This weekend will tell us a shit ton. No, do Forest have midweek? Are they one of the two games?
No, it's Newcastle. Okay. Newcastle Palace is the midweek match.
Gotcha. I knew one of the semifinals. So I couldn't remember who it was.
Yeah.
So Forest have 7 days to think about this, fix it, and then solidify space in third place. And not solidify, but kind of condense their spot in third place and really focus in on making somebody else have some pressure on them. Chelsea, I feel the least comfortable about, to be honest. I think it's going to be Europa League no matter what for them. I'm sure they're going to win the Conference League, so they'll have a Europa League spot no matter what. And I think they're too far off to catch a Champions League, people, honestly. With their inconsistencies, I don't think they'll be able to get it done. So I think they may stop focusing on the league so much and really hone in on taking out these, second division Eastern European clubs.
All right, real quick, Grim. FA Cup, it's 2 weeks away, so they all play this weekend, and then next weekend it's the final weekend of April that the FA Cups happen. I was double checking because I wanted to make sure that kind of completely changes the way I have injury time already set up.
Well, yeah, because the other thing is these midweek games coming up are because of the FA Cup, I think.
No, it's just.
So I think this is where they fit them in.
This Newcastle Palace, yes, that's the only one. The other one's being made up after.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, As I just mentioned, injury time, Sam, how would somebody want to find injury time if they wanted to go?
Very easy. It's patreon.com/thefootballshow. You sign up to the $5 tier, you can just enjoy your fucking content. If you sign up to the $7.50 Taylor Thompson tier, you can have an opinion.
Very good. And I will say, I agree with you right off the jump that I think Chelsea is the team that is on the outside looking in, especially because of form. You feel like City knows how to be there, but I'm with you. There's still inconsistencies. I think you're going to have Forest will figure it out. Nuno is not going to let them slip up. What it really comes down to is right around the corner this weekend, Villa and Newcastle at Villa. Rounding out the rest of the league, and so that happened. Brighton 2, Leicester 2, Arsenal 1, Brentford 1, Liverpool 2, West Ham 1, Wolves 4, Spurs 2, Bournemouth 1, Fulham 0. The Foxes scored twice.
Yeah, they did. Well, it would have been more exciting if Brighton weren't gifted 2 penalties by Leicester's defense.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Leicester's defense is fucking horrid.
I mean, Connor Cody's arm was as far away from mine as when I stretch in the morning, away from my body. That's absurd. I don't know what the fuck you're thinking. And then what was the second one? Was the drag down, wasn't it? I mean, it was, you were all over him. You basically grabbed this shoulder's fabric from this side.
What I find funny is they decided to put Connor Cody into the lineup, not to take Wout Face out, but to take Benderak out. Now, not like this, we are talking about the greatest central defense of the world, but what does fucking Wout Face have on Ruud van Nistelrooy that keeps him in the lineup? It is beyond me how that man plays week in and week out.
I know. It's terrible. It's absolutely terrible. And Benderak as well, replace him. I mean, he's got the history of being a part of that. Both, I think, actually might have been 9-0 drubbings of Southampton.
The one that Manchester United put on Southampton was, I think he had 2 own goals and then saw a red before the match was over.
Yeah, so one of the worst games a defender has ever played, literally. And then just look at Wout Face. And you think that this is your defensive partnership anyway? I'd rather Connor Cody go out there and fucking catch the ball in the first 5 minutes than play those two together. So why Wout Face keeps his job, I don't know. Maybe he walked in on Van Nistelrooy in a cold shower and took a photo. And now,
That's all I can imagine it must be.
It's because it's just absolutely absurd. You could tell they've missed Mavrodidi a lot. He did stretch the game a bit for them. This is the first game he started in a very long time. He's had about a month where he's been kind of rehabbing, being reintegrated into the side after a long spell out. Right. And it was really good for him to get a goal, and you could see what it meant to him. I mean, it was pure fucking emotion. And the entire crowd went just absolutely fucking ham. That was in that corner because it's 4 goals in 16 or whatever it was, or 15,
right? Something
like that. And they've lost every single one of those games minus one that they beat Spurs. And 2 of those 2 goals, 2 of the 4 were in that game, and they won 2-1. So
right.
So they had 1 goal and 2 others in that 15. So it's been so long since they've even scored a fucking goal that that in and of itself was impressive and a reason to talk about them for a change. But Brighton could have been up 7-1. It's really the game's story is about how wasteful Brighton were.
Right.
They could have been 7-1 up at one point and just could not finish anything and needed the referee to bail them out with these calls. Now, they were the correct calls, but those aren't always made. You got fucking lucky, essentially.
Right. What if those weren't called? What if if the ref had not called it on the field, VAR went, nah, we didn't see anything in it,
How many times have we seen that? It's fairly obvious that you need to take care of your own business. You can't wait for the referees to do anything for you unless you're Liverpool. I mean, I didn't say that out loud.
The one thing Brighton needs to be really concerned about, and also the final match that we'll talk about, there's 3 teams that have an outside chance at getting into some type of Europe. And it seems like none of them really want to fucking take it. And what's funny is we were talking just 2 weeks ago about how Brighton really seemed in form and ready to go. And they've
been shit.
They've just blown it.
Curse of the commentator, man. That's what we get for calling it out.
Now, for Arsenal, yeah, one eye is on the Champions League, right? One eye is getting to that semifinal spot, not overlooking the fact that you have to go to Madrid. And even though you have a 3-goal lead, you're looking at that. That's going to happen. It felt like you actually did everything kind of right. And you got the goal and you took the lead. And then you end up drawn. But
we did that against Joel.
Yeah,
we did that against Joel last week too, before the first leg.
Yeah,
now we had exactly that. You had more changed lineup again, understandably, obviously, but managing just 3 shots on target is completely unacceptable. Mm-hmm. Those backups, a lot of which, like Wanyeri, obviously has played a lot this season because Saka's been out. Martinelli's come back in. He started this game. What happened there? Trossard. I'm happy with the way the team played defensively, and that front 3 included. They put in their shift,
right?
But 3 shots on goal is unacceptable. Yeah. The guys that are coming on to get a jog out. They're not coming on to do anything. That's why they were rested. That's why they got an 18-minute cameo.
Right?
They're coming on to change a game, and they probably were instructed to fucking not do that.
Yeah, they're coming on. They're coming on to keep the legs loose.
Go warm up. Exactly right. Stay kind of match sharp, match fit. Think about what you want to do. Just don't actually go do it.
Right.
And because if there is a team that can turn around a 3-0 deficit, it's Real Madrid in their own building. They've got some of the best, compiled attacking talent on the planet in that front 4. In Jude Bellingham, Rodrigo, Vinicius Jr., and the other one.
Kylian Mbappe. But here's the question. Here's
Mbappe.
The question I have about Mbappe. This weekend, saw red in La Liga. Does that mean he's out for Champions League? No.
Different competition.
Got it.
So which is why Camavinga, who saw red last week in frustration, the defensive midfielder, just booted the ball in the 93rd minute after being called for a routine foul at midfield. He was already on a yellow card that saw him suspended for Wednesday, not Saturday.
Got it.
So he just booted the ball into oblivion, got sent off, and then now that red, it resets his card count.
So it's different because it's a
different competition.
Well, but in England, like if somebody got a red card in the FA Cup, they miss league games for it.
So do this different.
Domestic.
All right, maybe I say different. Yeah. Different governing body.
Right, got it. Not domestic. Right, fair. That's what I wanted. That's what I wanted clarification for. Just because people will be like, "Dude, I see people all the time." Like,
I'd rather. It's probably misleading the way I said it. It's different governing body, so different card count.
Well, finally, the other thing I want to say, one of the last things I want to say about this match in particular, it was a gorgeous goal by Wisa. So, like, at least there's some solace in the fact of like. It was a beaut that got the draw. Like they weren't for regularly.
I just, I'm happy with how we played defensively overall. They really didn't have a sniff in the game, really, except for that fantastic goal, as you say. But everything was pretty freaking routine entire game defensively. So they all got to stretch their legs. They all got to stay focused. What I'm disappointed in, and now what I'm worried about is in Mikel Arteta's head. Say Arsenal give up a goal against Real Madrid in the first 7-8 minutes, and now we're properly shitting ourselves. Are we going to have a changer going to be able to come off the bench and help rescue to reinstill some sort of calm and collectedness in this team after this offensive display? I don't fucking think so.
Yeah. And as this came to an end, at the end of this match, Liverpool then knew all they needed was 9 points going into the next day.
Yep.
And they got 3 of them against West Ham, and they didn't look particularly good doing it, but they got the 3 they needed, and now the number is 6.
Yeah, it was still a little sloppy, but it was definitely more coherent from Liverpool than it has been the last few weeks. I think a better team would have punished them.
Yeah.
Times with some of the play. Allison, even Allison had to make saves again in this game. West Ham did kind of, give it a go. They just weren't ruthless enough to get it done. Diaz got the opener on 18 minutes, obviously. Long old wait for the second goal, though.
Right.
So, Liverpool were still sort of a little nervous here and there at times because it took so long to put West Ham away. But finally, obviously, that did come. But not before Virgil van Dijk did old West Ham a solid, celebrating the new contract and all.
Well, I thought it was Robertson who got tagged with the own goal.
It was because Van Dijk kicked it directly off of him because he didn't know where he was. I guess Robertson didn't talk, but Van Dijk comes cutting across the left, tries to flick the ball with the outside of his right foot and turn it up and flicked it right into Robinson's shins, who was actually running towards his own goal in a full sprint. Pops off his shins right past Allison. It was absolutely pitiful.
Yeah.
But then Van Dijk makes amends, obviously, with a towering header, and gets all 3 points in a kind of a talismanic, Liverpool captain kind of way. Pops up to do what he did.
I think we can officially say that the title is done and dusted because the next two matches Liverpool play are Leicester and Spurs. Before they even get to Chelsea and you, it's Leicester and Spurs. The next two, they're going to win the title. It's done and dusted.
They're lifting the trophy against Spurs because Spurs can't find the way out of a wet paper bag.
Right.
But the Virgil van Dijk, I do want to ask real quick. Did you think that was a foul? The header?
Oh, not the
little bit of a push in the back there.
Yeah, but they're going to get away with that. Now, Mr. Graham, breaking news when it feels like breaking. And also, just why are our Patreons so great? Producer Mel, what do you have for us while the show was going on?
I have a note from Taylor Thompson. Get ready for some opinions. He's now a $750 a month drunk passenger.
That $250 worth the fucking bit. That is fucking brilliant, Taylor. Just I can't have opinions unless I spend $250 more. Let me pull. You forget, Graham. He bought a whole second Patreon account as Baby Yoda just to troll producer Mel.
I still maintain Baby Yoda overrated. Gizmos where it's at, bitches.
Oh my god, fucking brilliant. Absolutely good. Brilliant. So there you go, Mr.
Well
Chris.
done.
Somebody has opinions now and they're allowed to have them.
Well done.
All right. Apparently not his muterus, his choice. He's like, fuck you, here's $250. I'm in. Here is something that has not happened since the Wolves have been back in the Premier League, since the Premier League has existed. They have not won 4 games in a row. Well, not until yesterday when they beat Spurs and have now won 4 games in a row. And it took them no time at all to go up 1-0.
No, absolutely didn't. You bring up that stat, and I do briefly want to, as much as I love shitting on Spurs, I do briefly have to bring it back for a second because Spurs being in the position they're in, they're kind of used to it sometimes, There is a team, however, that isn't. That Newcastle 4-1 over Manchester United, that was the first time since 1933 that Newcastle have completed the league double over Manchester United.
Wow. Holy shit.
So just let's all take a moment to laugh at United one more time.
And we always laughing at United. It's pretty great. Very.
Sorry. Back to shitting on Spurs. The result really speaks for itself, doesn't it? But let's go ahead and dig into it anyway.
Well, here's the thing,
because this does make me warm and fuzzy inside.
2-0 to Wolves. Then it's 2-1. Spurs look like they're going to be in it. Immediate answer to make it 3-1. Then Spurs make it 3-2 late, and then again, immediate answer to make it 4-2. I mean, it was like Wolves were like, "Oh, you scored? Fuck you!" Like
exactly.
They were all over Spurs.
So it was 90 seconds it took, and they had their first choice defense. Spurs. It took 90 seconds for Wolves to break the deadlock.
Yeah.
Now it was a good shot from Aït-Nouri. It was, direction was correct. It was awkward for the keeper because he hit it directly into the ground, but it's still a shot he should be saving. You know, and then we move on to one of the goals later on. He kept this weird little bitch slap of a thing that he did.
We already know if you get in Vicario's way, we learned this a couple of seasons ago. I hate to go back to Everton, but there was a 2-2 draw where Everton just stood in front of him on corners, and both goals were scored off of corners with headers. Everybody's learned. Make his life uncomfortable. He cannot defend corners for shit. We thought De Gea was bad at coming out. Vicario is the worst keeper for coming out on free kicks or corner kicks. He's horrid at it.
Yeah, but this was especially fucking weird, where he slaps at this ball and hits it off of Jed Spence into his own goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What are you doing? Like, what happened that made you spaz out like that? The ball wasn't even struck with any real veracity.
Nope.
It was terrible. It was absolutely fucking terrible. I don't get it. Got one back from Spurs, obviously, after a defensive error from Wolves for a change in this game. But like I said, just 5 minutes later, saw Aït-Nouri. It was just like, fuck that, got it. Great pass and a tap in for Strand Larson.
Yeah, exactly.
Easy. It was like beating your little brother on FIFA. Like, it was easy.
Then right at the end of the game, Spurs with Richarlison make it 3-2, and right at the other end, Cunha back of the net 4-2 within a flash it happened.
Well, it was good because Richarlison had the second or third peck at the corn.
Mm-hmm. It would be bird seed.
Where do you finally get that?
Corn would be pro.
I don't know. He looks more like a pigeon than a cock, but they are the cocks anyway, right? Yeah. The Tottenham fighting cocks.
Yeah, he's definitely he's a pigeon. That's his whole bit. He does the pigeon dance when he scores and all that shit.
I know. But yeah, so he got his schnoz to the end of one, and it was good for him. But then, as you say, I mean, was it 40 seconds later?
Yeah.
Seconds later, maybe Bergvall just decides I'm Lionel Messi and I can dribble the team.
Yep.
And Cunha pokes it away. Then Ben Davies, we've been saying for years, one of the slowest players in the league. Cunha makes up 4 yards on him. The ball away from him. Ben Davies looks like he's starting to run, and then he looks at Bergvall and just does like this as he's running back. Just like, what are you? Fuck you. And he completely gave up on the play. He was never getting there anyway. He's slow as fuck. But it was just absurd. And then a great finish from Cunha announcing himself back in the lineup. Cunha himself did the press, stripped the ball, ran, and finished. He did all of the moves in one move. And I think because he did all the moves, he should get an assist for that.
I like that. That's a good point.
4 separate moves.
Did all the work. He deserves more than just the goal.
I mean, the heaping piles of humiliation on Spurs is brilliant. Don't get me wrong, and that's a great accolade to wear. However, I think he deserves a better, proper stat.
So
something like that.
2 things here. The first one is a question, and then I want to wrap up this game before we go to the final match. This is it for Big Ange, right? If they don't advance against Frankfurt, he's fired. He's fired, do we think, before the weekend or after the weekend? But it's over if he does not advance in Europa.
Well, that's a good question. I think they still stick with him to the end of the season.
Okay.
There's only 6 games left, 7 games left. I don't think he's got. I don't think he has anything else. Anyone else rather lined up to do anything, actually. And if that's the case, then what are they going to Brian Mason interim and then try to paper over the cracks and then hire another fairly big name coach? And then I don't understand what do they gain from sacking him right now? What's the point?
Hey, it just feels like the team just does not want to listen to what he has to say. It looks like the fans want to fucking riot. like at the Molineux.
Yeah, but they're Spurs.
I thought the Spurs, the supporters wanted to run onto the field and attack the team. They were just they're that fed up with how they're playing.
But that's it. They're also fed up with the ownership and how much the lack of money they spend. So if they trash their own stadium and they have to fix that, they're definitely not going to buy any more players.
No, so that's why I thought they would go out and
So I don't fucking know what they're going to do, man. It's so hard to tell. Ange could be the first one to resign. He could just fuck himself off. He's Australian. You never know what they're going to do.
Yeah, very true. Now, the final thing, before we go into the last match, Victor Pereira was quoted this past week because apparently he enjoys a pint. And he has a beer for victory and goes out drinking afterwards. And someone in the press was like, heard you enjoy a pint. And he looks right at him. He goes, first the points, then the pints. And Victor Pereira, people on Instagram were taking pictures of him in all the pubs. As I like to say, he was pulling a Paletti. Because that's what Danny likes to do whenever Wolves get a big win, is run all over town and drink as many beers as humanly possible.
I like it.
Yeah, the first points, then pints. I mean, that is a battle cry. They've already made banners. They have them up in the stands and everything. It's like
on all the merch now. It's going to be on all the merch.
Moy saying the People's Club. Like that is mwah, chef's kiss. Absolutely fucking brilliant.
That's definitely a good thing for them. They need that.
We were talking about Brighton earlier in this, like, who wants to go to Europa? Who the fuck are the Cherries in Fulham? Like, they're just they're both inconsistent. They're hard to figure out. Like, Fulham's probably been the more informed side of the two, but really kind of showed nothing today, where the Cherries haven't been playing well, but then they pull out a win. And it's like, who are these three teams? Because really, let's face it, this game does not have very many talking points, right?
Sam, who scored?
It was Semedo, right?
When did he score?
Like in the first few minutes of the match.
30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then nothing else happened. End the show.
Yeah, and there's Graham for those of you listening.
End the show now.
Graham is now playing on his Xbox. Just like, that's what I'm doing.
Semenyo scored 30 seconds in. Nothing else happened the rest of the fucking game. So I'm going to just go ahead and play Xbox. I'm going to make something happen in this game. It's fucking ridiculous.
Those three teams, like, it's there for the taking, right? There is going to be European spots for 7th and potentially even
probably 8th, yeah.
And
especially if City do, as we expect them to, very unexcitedly win the FA Cup.
Right. Or God forbid, Arsenal, or not so much Arsenal, because Arsenal would already be in a spot, but if Villa finishes in 6th and wins the Champions League, then 6 teams are going to the fucking Champions League. I mean, Not that we expect it to happen, but it could fucking happen, right? Like, so there's plenty of opportunity, and these 3 teams have really, they put themselves in the right position. They don't have anything else to worry about. They're all out of the FA Cup, and it's just like, no one wants to grab it and take it. And it's like,
it's the epitome of the season petering out. It's people losing interest, people getting nervous about results, and then you can't dig yourself out of the rut you created.
Yeah.
You know, it's panicking during your driving test.
Yeah.
You know, once you panic, you failed. You fucked it already.
Yeah, it's already over. Yeah, it's funny. I'd love to make this a story and something we could talk about on the show. But frankly, Wolves and West Ham charging to pass Man U and Spurs is more exciting to talk about.
Big time.
Sure money.
I know how you're bent wet because you were really confident about old Palace this weekend.
I was. I really thought they were going to ride their wave and City was still going to be faltering. And again, I still contend that Palace had something else on their mind.
Yeah.
And just, why else would you sub off Mateta? I didn't see any report that he was hurt at all.
Yeah.
They just subbed him off. It's been your best player, and you don't have Eddie. So who's the guy that came on? Like, who the fuck is that?
Right.
You know what I mean? Why would you do that? So that whatever, it's fine. I don't really care. I'm down $3,000. I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. So go ahead, do whatever it is you got to do over there, because I'm fucking just tired of losing money.
All right. Well, I missed because I also had I had Brighton winning. Everything else happened except for Brighton did not win. I had Newcastle beating Man United. I had Villa beating Southampton, and all Brighton had to do was take advantage of any one of the 800 opportunities they had to beat the shit out of Leicester and not take. But I am still up $803.
Big Sam's Lock of the Week.
Did you know that 26.66666666667% of the time it works 100% of the time, Mr. Graham?
Nice.
This week, I am not taking any winners. I am going to take a 4-leg parlay of both teams to score. So goals. Does not matter what the result is. Simply both teams scoring. Taking the West London derby between Chelsea and Fulham. I feel like there's at least a goal out of each of them. I'm taking Brentford and, the Bees and the Seagulls. So Brentford and Brighton, both of them to score. I think that's in the cards. Villa and Newcastle. There are definitely going to be goals from both sides in that match. And the final one is Palace and Bournemouth. I'm going to go ahead and take a goal each in that. And with that, I would make a plus 487.
Well, that's not bad.
Yeah.
That's not bad at all, actually, for that. So I went a touch of a different route, but I'm picking all favorites. So it should be okay. Plus 1190.
Nine-way parlay.
Just 5. Plus 11.
Because I do it and then you have to stop and count because you're like, well, maybe it isn't.
Maybe it could be. Nah, plus 1190. This gets me, and my 5 legs are as follows: West Ham to cash in their Southampton voucher.
Mm-hmm.
Arsenal to beat Ipswich. I think they still will, despite Ipswich being on decent form. I think we've got too much for them defensively, and we will find the odd goal, of course. Wolves or draw with Manchester United. As I said, I'm picking only favorites this week. Liverpool over Leicester. Of course, they want to get closer to lifting the title, and Leicester are dog shit. And then Forest to beat Spurs. Those are my 5 legs.
Favorites.
All favorites.
Again, all favorites. Very good. All right, well, that is going to wrap it up, boys and girls. Mr. Graham, any parting?
No, really. I do have a question, actually. Parting question for you. You are a man of the bidet.
Mm-hmm.
Between Manchester United and Tottenham Hotspur, which one would you rather take a shit in, and which one would you rather spray water in your ass?
I'd rather spray water in my butt for both because I would rather just be washed away and completely clean of both, to be quite honest with you.
I thought you were going to say you'd rather sit further back in the toilet and just shit on both of them.
No, I mean, I could also do that as well.
They're cunts, aren't they?
They are. You just
They're so bad.
This gives you so much pride and joy as
it's beautiful,
You're
man.
loving it, aren't you?
It's a beautiful thing. But there's also that I don't want them to get relegated because there's still the Batman and Robin or Batman and Joker thing. Batman needs Joker; he can't be Batman.
Right, exactly.
And Joker needs an adversary. So if there is no Batman, there is no Joker. They're mutually beneficial to each other. And so I don't want them to get relegated, either one of these teams. But watching them both flounder is fucking funny. It's fucking funny.
Next up is DU Does EFL, where we're going to recap the rest of English football. And Leeds are back in first again, and the Blades are in fucking third. Go fucking figure. The championship's impossible to figure out. But also, we have our first officially promoted club in all of English football. So that's coming up next. And then after that is injury time, where we are going to talk about the beers that we were drinking. We're not going to review fantasy because there's midweek games and there's no points to send over to producer Mel yet.
To tally up yet. Yep.
And we preview the weekend's action. should somebody want to support the show, Mr. Graham, how do they go about doing it? And how do they go about doing it if they want to have an opinion?
It's very easy, actually. It's patreon.com/DoYouFootballShow. There's a $5 tier where you just take what you're given and you enjoy it because it's excellent actual content. And I'm not sure why anybody would need to say anything about it. But if you feel the need to say something about it, you can pay $7.50, much like our good friend Taylor Thompson, and and have all the opinions you fucking want, apparently. Mel allowed that to happen. So
well, you're the one who set the parameters for an extra $2.50 they can have an opinion. I would have set that bar much higher, but
I didn't think he'd do it.
$2.50 per opinion.
Oh, per opinion. Heard.
He misheard me. It has to be that.
Nice recovery there, producer Mel. Till next week, everybody.
Good night.